I'm going to be showing you how to replace the water outlet gaskets on this 2007 Saturn Aura. It's a 3.5 liter. I'm going to remove the serpentine belt. It helps to draw a diagram of it, so when you take it off you can put it back on the correct way, because this one's actually pretty complicated. First thing I did was I removed the air box. There's one 10mm bolt here. It all unclips. There's another 8mm bolt here. The top part falls off. You can remove the air filter, you can remove the box. And I removed the engine cover. You gotta take off the oil fill cap and then the oil fill tube to remove that cover. And I just put it back on there to keep anything from falling inside of it. Next, I removed the belt. Down right here is the belt tensioner, and you just gotta loosen it and the belt will slide off and just move it out the way. You'll have to remove this motor mount also to get the belt off if you're replacing it. I'm going to remove the alternator next. You got a 15mm bolt here. You have two bolts on the back side. You got one 10mm nut holding on a bracket for the power steering lines, and then underneath it you got the other 15mm, and then you have a connector up top and a 10mm bolt on the, I think it's a 13 on the back side of the alternator, the positive wire. Make sure to disconnect the battery before you take this one off, because if it touches anything it's going to arc. And you can go ahead and remove the power steering pump. There's 3 bolts. Just kind of got to move the pulley to access them. The belt off, it shouldn't be a problem. And then just kind of pick that up and move it out the way. From underneath the vehicle on the driver's side, you're going to want to drain out all the coolant. There's a little pitchcock valve right there on the bottom left corner of the radiator. It's going to drain out this hole, and you can fill up a bucket to catch it all and keep from making a huge mess. Helps use a bungee cord just to give this thing a little bit of tension just to get out the way. Alright, next thing I did was I'm going to remove these 2 coolant lines. There's a 10mm bolt there, and then I also removed a 10mm bolt for this bracket, so I can just move this harness up and out of the way to access those bolts. To get these coolant lines off and out of the way, I had to remove another 10mm bolt up here. You can see it mounts there, and there's another 13mm down here that mounts these 2 metal lines. And you'll be able to just get enough room to move these out of the way so you can take off this front water bypass crossover outlet, whatever they call it. You should be ready to remove this coolant crossover assembly. There's a couple 15mm bolts. You got 3 on this side. Come over here. You got to remove this idler pulley. It's a 13mm bolt, and then you have access to this 15mm. You got 3 more 15mm right here. You got 1 more in the back, and the whole assembly should come loose and pull right off. You can see what happens to these gaskets right there. This little rubber insert for this gasket came weak and fell apart, and that's where it started leaking at. You're going to want to change both sides out, the left side and the right side. Make sure to clean these surfaces really well, brake clean, get them nice and dry, and all the extra residue or whatever built up on them off, because that'll make a difference with the seal, and you could be in the same situation as you were before.